I'm just checking that on my large monitor I can see you really well. So what happens here is you're showing up here in larger squares, and then you're on my mirror because this is reflected in the mirror over here, which I didn't set up that way. There's no other way to configure the room. So I get to have more than one view of you on the large screen, which is really nice. So we're going to start by sitting together quietly, and we'll have a short meditation practice. Many of you know that we've been looking into the pelvic floor and the pelvic floor related to the throat diaphragm too, and all three, what yoga calls bandhas. So your pelvic diaphragm, your breathing diaphragm, and then your upper diaphragm through here. So let's please sit quietly together for a few minutes. You can rest your hands in your lap as you like. You're welcome to close your eyes. Let your attention come into the antenna. That is, we call this sometimes the central channel. I'm calling it an antenna. And if you think of it as the central nervous system, there is both transmission outwards to the periphery of the body, and there's transmission back into this antenna. So we are all transmitters and receivers. You can check in with your inner reception, your inner transmission. As I have said before, the transition we have from sleeping to waking and from the darkness of night into the dawn and then the morning, these are considered auspicious or sattvic times of day. We are a couple hours into this sattvic period, and soon it will turn again to rajas, the activity part of the day. So let your awareness sort of filter that which is sattvic, the quality of the light, the feeling of the air, what we sometimes call the freshness of the morning. And as the sattvic surrounds you, let that permeate, and then also from the deepest place within you where your own sattvic nature can be known, let that become sort of refreshed or awakened by sensing the morning. Now, of course, between your connection to that most internal sattvic place and your connection to this externally sattvic place, there might be your mental filters, which could be more tamasic or more rajasic right now. So I'm asking you to sense in the environment and to sense what is most indwelling in this central channel. And to let the tamasic or rajasic filters of the mind, just kind of let them be a little bit more non-intrusive. And then as you begin breathing more deeply, let's try to sense that the breath fills this central channel and also widens your access to it. So if it felt like a thin thread moving up and down, let it become a little bit wider, like a stream. Or if it was already a stream, let it become a little wider, like a river. Right? And if that was already established, then you can bask in the sense of connection. And just about 3 breath cycles more to sense this channel. Let the breath be smooth, deeply welcomed by your body. And then please bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra. We will chant together the Gayatri mantra, Om Bhurabhuva Suvaha. Let's begin. Om Bhurabhuva Suvaha. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayata. Om Bhurabhuva Suvaha. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayata. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart and release your hands and open your eyes. And let's see if we can sort of dissipate the rajasic or tamasic, what is it called, like static or friction. If it's there, let's see if we can dissipate that so that sattvic sense is yet again more accessible to you. So we're going to use the Kapalabhati, but starting slowly. You might think of it more like Bastrika. And I said last week, as if you had a candle out here and you were blowing it out with a strong exhale breath, using the strength of the solar plexus and the diaphragm, not the strength of your face. So it's not like that. It's from here. So sitting up straight and tall. You can have just a sip of an inhale, and then we'll make these powerful exhales together at this pace. Exhale completely, then inhale through the nose from the base of your pelvis. Inhale upwards to the top of your collarbones. Hold the breath. And exhale slowly through your nose. Little sip of an inhale, and then again. Exhale. Inhale from the bottom to the top. Hold the inhale. Exhale through your nose, slowly and completely. Now, exhaling a little more rapidly through the nose. Enjoy a sip of an inhale. Exhale completely. Inhale from the bottom to the top. Holding the breath. Exhale through the nose. Little sip of an inhale. Exhale completely. Inhale from the bottom to the top. Holding the breath. Exhale smoothly. And rest inside the echo. You do not need to breathe. In fact, you can let yourself simply be breathed. Notice any increase in your sense of focus for being present. Now we're going to use a Kapalabhati kind of Kriya, using the arms also. So we'll inhale, the arms go up. We exhale, the arms pull down like this. And I'd like the shoulders to go back, elbows go back. And when you're doing this, you go inhale up through the nose, exhale out through the nose, okay? One, two, three, last one. Now, inhale through the nose and hold the breath at the top. Exhale from the base of your pelvis, slowly out through the nose. Tone your belly from the base of your pelvis upwards towards your solar plexus. Now inhale smoothly, Ujjayi, and allow the pelvic floor to receive the inhale. So there's an expansion there. And then expand into your midribs and let the breath rise upwards under your collarbones to your heart. Then begin your exhale at the pubic bone, move towards the center of the pelvic floor and come up the front line of your sacrum, up the front line of the lumbar spine. Release that, so you inhale and the breath is welcomed into the pelvic floor. Come upwards under your heart and your collarbones. And then begin the exhale with sensitivity from the pubic bone in towards the center of the pelvic floor and upwards. And then again, the exhale and the inhale each have a gentle turnaround between the pauses of the breath cycle. So 2 more times Ujjayi breath, please. And then release the breath. And notice if there's less interference between your inner sattvic antenna and the sattvic nature of the environment of morning. And please rise up to standing for Surya Namaskar. I'm going to switch to my other camera. Okay. In Surya Namaskar, I have been asking us to use blocks. I find it really beneficial for the Uttanasana, even if you can reach. But I also see that it's beneficial for you when you're transitioning from downward dog pose. I just want to see it better, so I have to change one setting here. Bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra, and without losing that inner sense of how the breath cultivated your connection there. As I could lift up through the crown of your skull, up through the upper palate, up through the heart concentrically, so front and back, and yet root downward from your pelvis and into your legs, into your heels and toes, while rising upwards from the inner arches to the pelvic floor. So there's an internal lift even from the pelvic floor up through the inner channel, and there's this external descent from your pelvic bones, leg bones, heels and toes. Now with the Ujjayi breath, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. That beautiful exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward, raise up onto your fingertips, look forward, stretch the front of your throat. Exhale and bow deeply. Begin your exhale just in front of the pubic bone, inside the pelvic floor, and up towards your sacrum. Inhale, glide forward. Open the back hemisphere of the pelvic floor, slide your heart forward, and open your throat. And exhale to deeply bow. Using the Ujjayi sound, please keep the back of your throat open. So the sound, one more time forward, the sound should feel smooth and round. And when you hear it with the inner ear, it ought to feel like soothing, but also focusing. One more time, exhale to Uttanasana. Now using your blocks, inhale, step backwards to downward dog pose. Exhale, roll forward to plank pose, gaze down between your thumbs. Inhale, reach high to downward facing dog pose, gaze back between your toes. Exhale, roll forward to plank pose. Begin the exhale at the front hemisphere of your pelvic floor. Glide up through the front of your sacrum in towards your solar plexus. Inhale, reach your hips high. Broaden the back of the pelvic floor, the back of your waist, the back of your heart. And once more, exhale forward, plank pose.
And last time, inhale, rise, downward facing dog pose. And exhale, right foot forward. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Beautiful. Okay, now let's exhale and just glide forward to airplane pose. Gaze down near your right big toe. When you inhale, rise up and do first third, middle third, upward third of the breath, but at the top, also lift your gaze and stretch your throat. And then exhale, when you glide forward, think of a little bit like a cat pose spine. Gaze down towards your right foot. Inhale, rise. Include the throat at the top of the breath. Exhale, airplane pose. Last one, inhale to rise. Now, as you exhale, arms wide, airplane pose. Hover over your right thigh, please. And then touch the blocks. Inhale, backwards, downward dog pose. Exhale, left foot forward. Inhale to rise. Smoothly glide up. So keeping the breath smooth will help to keep your physical actions smooth. Focus as you come over to airplane pose. Gaze at your left foot. Inhale, glide up. Beautiful. Yeah, in your own pace, in your own rhythm. Exhale to glide. So your breath pace determines your physical movement pace. We'll do this twice more. Listen to the sattvic nature of the morning while also tuning in to the sattvic nature that's within you. I trust that that is in you, and if necessary, you can borrow my confidence in you. Please touch the two blocks and let's inhale your right foot forward. And exhale, bow towards the legs, connect again at the front hemisphere of your pelvic floor. Draw the exhale up the inside of your sacrum. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Root down through your leg bones, but keep the inner arches lifted. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. This time, exhale, chair pose. Sit down into chair pose. Toe in the front of the pelvic floor. Inhale, broaden the back of your body in chair pose. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Remember that you have to be sensitive at the change of inhale to exhale. So exhale to bow towards your legs. These transitions between the breaths are very subtle and important. So inhale, glide forward. So you don't have this sort of abrupt transition at the pelvic floor, nor with the upper palate. Then step backwards with your left foot, please. Touch your left knee down. Inhale, rise up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, open your arms, your heart, your throat, your eyes. Inhale, rise up through the front line of the spine. Exhale to open, like opening the windshield of your mind. Inhale, rise up. And this time, exhale, come forward and lightly touch the two blocks. Let's inhale backwards to downward dog pose, please. Gaze back between your toes. And exhale forward to plank pose, noticing that the transition of the breath, here comes your exhale pause. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. The transition is a potent time in your practice. Exhale forward to plank. Once more, inhale back to dog. And then exhale your left foot forward and right knee down for Anjaneyasana. Inhale, glide up. So just now here, the moving part of the pose is going to be the arms, right? So you have a little bit less distraction in the physical pose. In other words, the pelvis is the same, the spine is the same, the eyes, the heart raising up. So focus on the transitions at the top of your inhale pause, at the bottom of your exhale pause. So no sense of grasping for the inhale, and no pressure for the exhale to go faster. So it's not abrupt. Let's do one more time. Inhale, rise up. And then exhale, come forward, touch the two blocks. Curl your right toes under and inhale, step forward, heart forward. And then exhale to bow towards your legs, and notice how the tone of the pelvic floor increases through the duration of the exhale. And then inhale, rise up. Beautiful, nice job. And exhale, hands to your heart. So to work into the upper palate diaphragm, we're going to do this gesture with the hands. This is going back a few weeks now. When you clasp your hands and you take them up, that's very familiar to you. Then we're going to be taking the hands down behind the base of the skull like this. So you have them up, then you're going to bring the elbows out to the sides, and the pinky fingers are going to hold at the occiput right there. And that movement, I want you to be able to lift the base of the skull with the pinky fingers. While you're pressing the head back, you're curling the whole spine to go up. You're not just dropping the head back and the chin up like that. Okay, so this will be part of our sun salutation. Please bring your hands together. Proceed with a sattvic quality of effort. Now inhale, Ujjayi inhale. Interlace your fingers, exhale, press up. Now inhale, widen your elbows, slide your pinkies down to the base of your skull. And then exhale to curl back. Okay, inhale to press up. Good, and exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward through your heart. Exhale, left toes back. Inhale, rise up. When you come up, then interlace your fingers and exhale, press up. Okay, now inhale, bend your elbows, slide your pinkies down at the base of your skull. And exhale to curl back. Inhale, press your arms up. And exhale, make a wide circle of the arms, lightly touch the two blocks. Let's inhale and step forward, so we'll do the other side. And exhale to bow towards your legs, so that is symmetrical. Inhale, glide forward. Notice the transition into the inhale. Bring your chin forward, stretching the throat. Exhale, take your right foot back. Inhale, rise up. Interlace your fingers. Exhale to press up. Okay, now inhale, glide the elbows wide and bring the breath into the upper collarbones at the top of the inhale. And then exhale to curl back. So you press your head back into your hands. And inhale to reach up then. Slide your hands up the back of your head. Nobody can see your hair, don't worry. And then exhale, arms wide, come forward and down. Step backwards to downward dog pose, please.
And then watch the exhale transition as you come forward to plank pose. And this time from plank pose, we're going to inhale to cat pose. So round your back and lower the knees very slowly to the floor. And then exhale to cow pose. Lift your sitting bones, bring your heart forward, open your throat. Now inhale, bring your hips forward, seal pose. Very nice. Exhale, look up, lift your chin, please. Inhale, stretch the front of the body. And then exhale, cat pose. Gaze in towards your belly button or your pubic bone. Inhale, cow pose. Take the sitting bones back, lift your heart forward, open your throat. Okay, exhale, seal pose. Glide your hips forward, roll your shoulders back. Now with enthusiasm, reach up like a happy cat or dog or like a seal. And then exhale, table pose. Okay, curl your toes under, rise up, plank pose. When your exhale begins, reach back into downward facing dog pose. Inhale in downward dog pose. Exhale, right foot forward, this time left knee down, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, rise up and clasp your hands again so that when you exhale, you're going to press up. Lift up through your rib cage so the back of the waist doesn't feel compressed. Inhale, glide your elbows wide, bring your fingers down to the base of your skull. And exhale to press back so you're going up at the base of the skull and back towards the back bend. And then inhale, reach the arms up overhead, gaze up. And exhale, wide circle of the arms. Touch both blocks, please. Inhale backwards, downward dog pose. Exhale, left foot forward. Inhale, rise up, Anjaneyasana, beautiful. Okay, interlace your fingers, press up. There's your exhale, lift the back of your ribs too. Inhale, bring your fingers down behind the base of your skull. With the sail of the chest open, exhale and curl back. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, wide circle of the arms. Touch the blocks, please. And then inhale, step forward, heart forward. And exhale, observe the deep bow of your body into Uttanasana. Look from the lens of the pelvic floor, becoming more toned as you finish your exhale. Then inhale, slowly rise up. And exhale your hands to your heart. Now, just as you are, I'm going to step back so you can see more of my posture. Balance on your left leg, please, and bring the right one up to tree pose. So in tree pose, because you guys are relatively experienced, I'm going to ask you to pay attention to something very internal. So keeping the left leg strong and toning the back of your left hip. So those muscles are toned. The left hip is not lax right now. Press your right heel into your left leg wherever they happen to meet. And try to sense the breath coming down into the pelvic floor. Lengthen your right inner thigh towards your right knee. It does not need to be 180 out to the side, but I do want you to lengthen from your right inner thigh out through your right knee with your hips level. And then see if you can tone the front hemisphere of the pelvic floor while you stand in tree pose. Likely you already have enough tone or contraction or even tension at the back hemisphere of your pelvic floor.
So check in at the front hemisphere that you can tone and draw up the front line of your sacrum. And float your arms up overhead, please. Lower your left arm out to the side. Keep the right arm up and your right inner thigh long as you arc your tree gently to the left. Keep the right hip heavy, left leg strong, left butt is not on vacation. And then raise it back up. And let's exhale to step down and see what mountain pose feels like. And also notice the difference in your pelvic floor left to right. It's a really interesting pose in terms of what the pelvis experiences, particularly because we deliberately put pressure against the upper inner thigh, if that's where your heel is. And the standing leg has this responsibility at the outer hip. Let's try the other side, please. And place your left heel. And I know for some of you, your pose may have your foot down at your ankle. That's fine too, of course. Now tone the right butt, right outer hip. And as you lengthen through your left inner thigh, join your hands at your heart. And so you can catch a glimpse out on the inside. When you exhale, can you connect to the front hemisphere of the pelvic floor? So not just like you're squeezing the back of the butt and the back of the pelvic floor. And raise your arms up, if you like. And then you're going to lower the right arm down and side bend to your right. So keep the right butt strong, left inner thigh open, open, open. And then keeping the pelvic floor toned, rise back up, both arms up overhead. Okay, nice job. And exhale to step down. Don't worry about wobbling or stepping out and coming back. Of course, that's always permitted. So that was standing on one foot, arcing into in both directions. We're going to take it towards side plank pose now. So this is my request of you. You can put the blocks aside or you can use them. It's up to you, but I'm going to show you as a profile. So when we go into side plank pose, we're going to start from downward dog pose. We're going to head to side plank, and then you'll have the option to use your tree pose in your side plank pose. So please walk yourself into your downward facing dog. It's probably helpful to have a little affection towards yourself right now. And when you inhale, come forward to your plank pose, gaze down between your thumbs. Bring your feet together. So your legs right now can act like a mermaid. They are connected to each other. Without picking up either hand, rotate to your outer right heel. I'll call that my right. You rotate to center. Keeping the legs joined, rotate to your outer left heel. Rotate to center. Reach back to downward facing dog pose. Okay, keeping your right foot grounded, raise your left leg high, one-legged dog pose. Stack your hips over your right thigh. Raise your left heel. There you go. Level it off and come forward to plank pose. Join your legs together. Rotate to your right outer heel. Press into your right hand and begin to raise your left arm high. You can gaze down towards your right thumb if that's easier.
Keeping the legs joined, bring your left hand back down. Then rotate your feet to center. Raise high to downward facing dog pose. Now keeping your left leg grounded, raise your right leg up, one-legged dog pose. Yeah, good. And then keeping your legs stable, rotate your pelvis to stack over your right thigh. Very good. Okay, yeah, beautiful. And then exhale, level your hips, bring your legs together, plank pose, with the legs like a mermaid. Rotate to your left outer heel. Raise your right arm. Gazing down is an option, gazing up is an option. Keeping the legs joined, bring your right hand back down to the floor. Rotate your legs to center and reach up to downward facing dog pose. Now we have this cool opportunity to bring tree pose into side plank pose. So please take a deep breath in. Enjoy the playfulness that the body can have. Exhale forward to your plank. The legs are joined together. Rotate to your mermaid leg side plank. Then you could step the left foot forward like this. So it's on the floor here. And of course, raise your left arm up. Or you could choose to place your left foot up on the right inner thigh. And stretch it like the standing side bend that we just did in tree pose. You get to decide. I'm smiling at you from my pose. Yeah. Okay, breathing in. Try lowering your left hand down. And if you're in tree pose when you're in plank, try coming into plank pose without putting your left foot down. And then step it back so you have your mermaid legs. Reach to your downward dog. Roll forward, legs together. Come to your left outer heel. And you might choose to step your right foot forward on your mat. Or you might choose to put your right foot up into your tree pose. Raise your right arm past your right ear. Keep the left butt toned. My favorite part of the sequence is when we go back to plank pose, but we're still in tree pose. So keeping the left arm steady, bring your right hand down and rotate to your plank. So it's like a one-legged plank pose and you are still in tree pose. And then join your right leg to your left. Reach your hips high. Downward dog. And from your downward dog pose, touch your knees down. Take one block for your head to come to child's pose. And smile at your efforts from the inside. I'm smiling at your efforts from the outside, so you can also borrow my smile for you. You did a nice job there. Stay with the child's pose and just watch after some exertion in your body. How do you allow for ease? Where do you let that in? And of course, everybody gets to make variations in their poses according to their own body, including in child's pose. Okay, please walk your hands back towards your knees. Nice job playing. Let's take a blanket, please, for the knees to be on. And come up onto your high knees like this, your tall knees. And step your right leg out to the right. So this looks like gate pose to some people, which it is. You can take a block to get ready. Let's put the block behind so it's just available to you. Now, some people, I know that your foot doesn't go all the way flat to the floor like that. And most of you know that my toes point really well in this direction. And I don't have a lot of flexibility in the other direction for my ankle. So when you come into this position, if you don't have your toes down to the floor, you could put something under the toes, like roll up an extra yoga mat or a blanket, or you can bend your knee a little until you do have your foot prepared on the floor there. Okay, hands to your hips. Root down into your left femur, left knee, left shin, left foot. And notice that the pelvis is set asymmetrically here. As you begin to tip your pelvis to your right, walk your right hand down your right leg. You can use like an itsy bitsy spider method there. And notice the changes at the shape of your pelvic floor. So just tipped your pelvis to the right. Can you still tone the left butt? Are you able to still press down into your left shin? On the exhale, zip up the front line of the belly. Sweep your left arm past your left ear. This is called gate pose Padikasana. I'm going to ask you in a moment to check again that you have this quality of tone on your left shin, left thigh, left hip, left low belly, and that you could just wrap the right arm around the small of your back. You're not using it. Do keep the right leg stable, yes. See if you can rely on the inner body here rather than your right arm for support. And then root down from your left hip to your left knee, rise up. And you have a block behind your right leg, and I'm going to say put it on the tall setting, like this. Okay. Lift the pubic bone, aim your left hip forward, place your right hand on the block, and reach the left arm up alongside your ear. Let's go looking towards a little bit of a back bend here. So really important that you press down firmly into your right arm, your left knee, and try to press your left butt forward so your left hip flexors are supported to open. And then sweep your left arm across your face and roll your left arm down. Rise up. And let's bring the right knee in. Please, we're going to change sides. So right foot behind you, left foot out to the side. You can place the block in preparation behind you there. Hands to your hips. Notice the shape of the pelvic floor just changed again. So lift the pubic bone. Do use your right butt, but don't forget the front hemisphere of the pelvic floor. Tip your pelvis to your left. Great. Yeah. And walk the left fingertips like itsy bitsy spider down your left leg. Don't forget, the right butt is kind of tempted to go on holiday, so you have to think of it. Your right arm past your right ear. So in this gate pose, I'm less interested in how far your left hand can go and what you're doing and discovering in the right hip, standing support in your right low belly, right lower back, the right side of your pelvic floor. And see if you have good tone in the internal structure of your pose. Take your left arm around behind you. So it's kind of like you're a waiter or a waitress in a fancy restaurant. Your left arm is behind you, just casually hanging out there. And keeping the right femur and right hip, right butt, all in integrity. Let's exhale, rise up to standing on your right knee. And you've got this block behind you. Place it so that your left hand can be firmly on the block. Lift up through your chest and your heart. Raise your right arm up. This is a little bit like a combination of a few poses. But please do make the left arm strong. And your right butt toned. So you're still steady there. Good. Beautiful. Like a ray of sun through your right arm. You're doing beautifully in your practice. Thank you so much. And when you exhale, use your right arm across your face. Slowly, you're going to gaze down. And then rise up and let's go to two knees. High up and take a seat on your block. And can I request that you sit on it like this? So it's like a little bench. So your sitting bones go on either side of the block. Some of you have been doing this with me for the last few days, and it wouldn't surprise me if you've got a couple sore spots at the inner edge of the sitting bones. And by sore spots, I mean you've had tension, you're massaging it. I don't mean you're causing the tension, you're aware that it's there. You rest your hands in your lap. And see if you can sort of hover as needed to find the center between your sitting bones, tailbone, pubic bones. You don't have to make a big effort for the breath right now. Just see if you can quietly hover inside your sattvic antenna, sensing the world around you. Still in the sattvic part of the morning. Okay, and now let's take, if you have two blocks, I'm going to request that you take two blocks stacked on each other so they're flat, like this, to sit on. And when you do this, please put both hips on the block and step your right foot forward. So like this. I know this is a funny looking position to start. You'll see where we're going in just a moment. So it's okay to keep the padding for your left knee. Okay. You take your left hand to your right knee, please. And begin twisting your low belly to your right. So we're sitting up on the blocks, which means that your knee is not going to be as high as if your hips were sitting down on the floor. So I'm going to ask you to reach your left arm up here. And when you come over, to think of your cat pose, to bring your left hand down towards the floor. It's okay to press your left elbow against your right knee. Please be thoughtful if you have a hip replacement. I know those of you in the class who have hip replacements, so I do know you. As you press your left arm into your right knee, press your right knee back into your left arm. And think of cat pose for your spine here. For some of you, you're going to find that you actually could touch the floor with your left fingers and your right fingers. You can gaze down. So your twist, you are compressing the right low belly. We are trying to swish the belly across the right thigh. But you also have lots of flexion in the lumbar spine right now. And some of you will find that the left low back or left outer hip is getting your attention. And we're going to slowly rise up from the pose. And I'm going to ask you to place your right leg next to your left. So bring it back down, Vajrasana. And see if you can sense the asymmetrical nature of your body right now. And then staying seated on your blocks, place your left foot forward. And start turning your belly to your left so you can swish the low belly across your lap. To your left, I hope you did not eat before class. Some of you are not in the Pacific time zone, so we have to be more thoughtful. And then bring your right elbow over and think of like your cat pose. So your spine is going to have more flexion, not more extension. As you're coming over, for those of you for whom you have a hip replacement, press your left knee and your right elbow against each other so that you're going to keep your right elbow bracing, left knee pressing out, and the left knee doesn't tip into the midline of your pose. You may bring your fingertips down to the floor like cat pose. And yes, you will have some compression at your left low belly. And maybe you're sensing the right lower back or the right sideways. And slowly glide yourself back up. And please bring your left shin back next to your right. And take notice what is happening if the asymmetries might have gotten navigated. Since you're sitting on a block a little bit wider, you could sit on the very front edge of the block. And so both sitting bones actually have a place to rest on the block. The pelvic floor on the back hemisphere can still feel more open, not more closed. And on the front hemisphere, you can sense the tone of the exhale beginning there. Now I'll use the two blocks and the blanket to come down to bridge pose. Okay, so let me make one more recommendation for this bridge pose. We have the blanket right now folded in whatever way you had it, but let's change it to be folded so it looks like the storage fold at the old yoga studio. I have a lump in my blanket. Excuse me. So like this, and it's going to be for your shoulders. So that when you lie down, excuse me, you're going to have your shoulders at the edge of your blanket. And we have only one blanket. You could use two, of course. My hope is that your hips get to be past the blanket because you're going to place these blocks underneath the pelvis. And I don't want them to be cattywampus because they're partly on your blanket and partly on the mat. So you pick up the hips, place the blocks for your bridge pose. And tuck the shoulders under for your bridge pose. Bring your arms down alongside your torso and practice actively rooting down through your shoulders without anything to hold on to with the hands. So you're really using the shoulders, the strength at the back of each shoulder. Lift your heart to kind of puff the chest open. Gaze towards your heart so your chin is down and the throat is toned. Now keeping your shoulders rooted, you may take one leg up to one-legged bridge pose. And if there's no disturbance to the shoulders, to your breath, to your mind or your heart, you can take the other leg up. Now it's called supported shoulder stand or candlestick pose. And close your eyes and focus on the strength needed at the back of your shoulders for the smoothness you want in the breath along the river from your tailbone to your sacrum, through the spine. The river has a little waterfall as it goes down over your heart and in towards your throat and then towards the crown of your skull. Now, having had the chest and heart quite open and the throat temporarily closed, I'd like you to keep the belly toned. And if you picked up your feet, then start to lower your toes gently back to the floor, either one set of toes at a time or both feet together, but without jostling about. Then lift your hips and take the blankets aside, the blocks aside. Smooth out your blanket, please. So you roll down. Notice what happens when you gently release the throat from that sort of inner constriction. And now the last thing we'll do this morning is fish pose. So keeping your shoulders on your blanket, pick up your hips and place your palms face down under your butt. So I'm actually sitting on the back of my wrists because that's how it works out for my arm length. And then you can take the legs out straight, press down with your elbows, puff your chest and your heart up. Take the shoulders back. Try to open to the breath in fish pose. You do have to use the strength of your arms. This is your palms, wrists, forearms, and elbows. Your shoulders are not on the floor, but you can squeeze the shoulders around the back of your heart. And then start gliding the back of your head on the floor, lengthen the back of your neck. Slowly you come away from your pose, and because you have a blanket underneath you that might not be ideally positioned, I'm going to say scoot back for your Shavasana until you can lift, remove the blanket, and hey, let's take the blanket as a covering for the legs. You can cover up entirely if you want to, of course. Take the arms out to the side, please. Bring your head to center. Let's see if you can sense the sattvic nature of the river that's moving through you. Right, this river reflecting the sattvic quality of nature around you. Just sense that moving through you from the pelvic floor, along the spine, through your heart, throat, upper palate, beyond the crown of your skull. This river moving through. Allow the medicine of your practice to saturate your body. Let each shoulder be heavy against the floor. Invite your upper arms, elbows, forearms, fingers and thumbs to be deeply relaxed. Invite the fingers to curl a little bit with the relaxation. And the inner body, invite your heart to also be deeply at ease. The world, both your own life and the world at large, they certainly need you. But we also need you to be connected to your sattvic heart. And let your heart deeply rest here in Shavasana to be renewed and restored. Allow your body to get deeply heavy. This relaxation, trusting in the process. Your body knows how to do this. And keeping your body heavy with relaxation, begin just to notice the quality of the sattvic, the river, the central channel of your body, and the sattvic quality of morning. If you're already in mid-morning because you're on the East Coast, then reflect on just the sattvic quality of nature. Try to sense these two are not separate, the inner sattva and the outer sattva. And you may lightly wiggle your fingers, your toes. Please bend your knees. And roll to your side. Use both hands to come up to sitting. And we'll come up to sit for a minute together. You can rest your hands out over your knees and try to sense the center of the pelvic floor from where you grow upwards as you sit in your subtle body plumb line. And join your hands at your heart. We'll sing once together for the chant. We'll put together the first two and the last two lines. Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Argo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayata. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Namaste. So nice to see you. I'm going to come up to say hi in just a moment. I'm basking at you. I'm basking because of you, actually. Let me change to my other camera.